everybody, I am the Complex Man, and today brings you a brand new episode and a brand new review. We are going to be touching base on the film that released in 2000, What Women Want, starring Mel Gibson and Helen Hunt. This movie was rated PG-13, which is going to be relevant in the future, and I will explain why. We open up our film with a mystery narrator saying, "You know the expression, a man's man? A man's man is a leader of the pack that other men admire and want to emulate. A man's man is the kind of man who just doesn't get what women are about." Nick, who is played by Mel Gibson, begins his story as a child whose mother was a showgirl, and without a father figure in his life, he mostly looked up to the greedy, money crazed owners who ran the establishment his mother's shows were being held at. And growing up surrounded by half naked women all his life, uh, he was pretty much given a crash course to puberty early on. And like that, we have the three male standard characteristics presented that will be in Nick's future in the rest of the film: money, power, and women. Fast forward, and we see Nick waking up from another successful night, judging by the kiss mark left on his cheek and ladies' underwear around his bedroom. He has a female assistant, or maybe it's a maid, to help around the house, and has respect from all people that he comes across. He goes to his local coffee shop, and we are introduced to Lola, played by Marissa Tomei, a starving actress slash barista who's been shying away from Nick's advances for a while now. But being the suave ladies' man that he is, this time she says yes. At his job working in advertising, Nick is loved and admired by all the ladies, or so he thinks, but doesn't acknowledge the classic brainy type woman. While having a discussion with his boss about what's popular in the industry these days, he brings out that women are being the focus of most advertising businesses, a topic Nick doesn't seem too interested in at the time, until a female competitor is brought up, Darcy McGuire, who is played by Helen Hunt. To make things worse, Nick's boss tells him that he just hired her as a new advertising director, the position that he was initially excited for and thought he was going to be getting. For now, the changing industry establishing essentially pushing Nick out because he doesn't know what women want. See what I did there? In his own words, his boss states, "You can get into the pants better than anyone on earth of women that I know, but their psyche is a whole other ballgame." Darcy enters the building and gives every creative a woman starter kit, a basic list of things the average woman shops for, and tasks everyone to come up with their best ways to sell the products, leaving Nick struggling to do so, but he tries his best and actually tries on every product. There is a montage, and I'll see if I can add it in, of him putting on nail polish, mascara, even trying on pantyhose, and comedy ensues. Meanwhile, Nick's 15-year-old daughter, Alex, who is played by a well known established child star from the 80s era that you might recognize from the series Growing Pains, is staying with him while her mother is out of town, who resents him and doesn't even call him dad. And she quickly introduces Nick to her new boyfriend, which every father always has a problem with. And she states that he doesn't listen to her. Classic. Which will be important later, I'm sure. After which, Nick accidentally falls into a bathtub while holding a hairdryer, electrocuting himself, essentially giving him the ability to hear women's thoughts, even a female poodle, for comic effect. Back at work, Nick finds out that he's actually not as popular as he thought with all of his female coworkers, and most of them are being underutilized. He tries to get rid of the ability because it ends up being too much for him by electrocuting himself with said hairdryer, only this time standing out in a rainstorm, letting a bolt of lightning strike him, which actually happens. All to no avail because it doesn't work. After it becoming too much for him, he seeks help from an old therapist played by Bette Midler. He's convinced that this is now a gift and is off to master his new ability. Which brings us back to Lola, before mentioned, with Nick changing up his tactics and being more sensitive this time since he can hear what she's thinking now and can definitely adjust to what she wants to hear said. They go on their date and they end up getting physical at a point, which at first he has a hard time adjusting to all the criticisms going through her head, but realizes his moves aren't being received as well as he thought initially. But he quickly adapts and manages to blow her away. No pun intended. Back at work, he's more alive than ever, giving advice, listening to women's problems and issues, and impressing his boss all over again. Things are going great for him as he learns to be more compassionate and sees himself changing for the better, making a relationship with his daughter and getting in touch with his feminine side. After yet another encounter with electricity, he then loses the ability to hear women's thoughts. But he still learned enough during that experience to have a completely different outlook on life, going as far as even being more compassionate, like said before, and saving the life of a depressed young lady at work, and being there for his daughter in an hour of need, and even confronting Darcy and giving her all the credit for his newfound success at work. And in the end, he and Darcy fall in love, and the credits roll. I thought it would be fun to add in a little bit of perspective of what the current world in 2023 actually thinks, um, what men expect from women and what women expect from men in a standard society these days today. So I went ahead and I searched just for fun to see what does a woman really want from a man these days. It states that women desire a man who is honorable, fair, and ethical. In terms of relationships, having integrity can help strengthen the bond a man has with a woman, as his moral principles will guide his behavior and help him to be the best partner that he can be. So that's a fair take. Now, let's see what it had to say for what men want from women. It states men love women who are thoughtful, caring, loving, and kind. A woman who does little things for her man for no reason other than that she loves him. A woman who makes him smile back whenever she smiles at him. A woman who radiates love and warmth from her heart. Now, I wanted to include these definitions in the video because I wanted to see if maybe these things back then in 2000 were being touch based on or tackled. I would say it's a fair thing to say that through that description, both parties met that in the end in the film. Mel Gibson did have a great change of heart. He was at one persona at one point of the movie in the beginning, but then he learns to find himself and become more compassionate and more patient, willing to listen, and really open himself up to the things that women are actually going through, which make him a more lovable character to see the growth process that he goes through and become better because of it. As well on as the receiving end, as you would see in the film, that Bonnie Hunt takes, where she actually is a loving and kind and genuine woman. Even though she is a businesswoman in this adaptation, she is not so success driven that she allows that to get in the way of her personal life and seeking a man and falling in love. I thought that was definitely really appropriate, and it was spot on in my book. What do you think? Did you think that the descriptions fit the narrative of the movie? Do you like this movie? Do you feel that it was um, appropriate for its time? Did it seem comical in the right moments? Did it seem like it touched base on everything that you wanted to be touched base in a rom com relationship film? I personally enjoyed it a lot. I express this a lot, and you'll notice this in future reviews that I do. That when they focus more on a character development in a specific character, that makes that person more identifiable with the audience. And I think they did that really well with Mel Gibson's character. Sure, he seemed like a full of himself, chauvinistic type guy who wasn't really giving people the chance of day, particularly women, the people that he dated or found relationships with, or even had sexual relations with. Um, but he really takes a full circle and changes his whole life around after he's able to hear what women think. And it really helps him uh, become a much better person in the long run, and is a likable character at that same point that I bet a lot of audience members can really identify with. Now, I'm bringing all this out because if you stick around for the future episodes, I will be touching base on the, I guess you can call it a sequel, kind of, with the 2019 film called What Men Want. Now, um, we'll see where it goes from that. But the difference in time settings, the fact that this first one is set in 2000 and is PG-13, so it's able to be seen by a much larger audience, definitely has its advantages and has its lighthearted moments and comedic moments that are quite tame and innocent. But the 2019, What Men Want, is now in a completely different time era. A lot of things have changed with how women hold themselves, and the fact that it's rated R is going to minimize what people are able to go see it. So let me know if you want to see that. That will be coming in the future. If it sounds like something you'd like to see, please do let me know in the comments. As usual, please do leave a subscription. Let me know that you like what you're seeing by hitting the like button on these videos. It really helps me out to know just how you guys are thinking. And do not forget to hit the notification bell so that you always know when I post a new video. Other than that, I think that is going to be the conclusion of this review. Thank you so much for taking the time out to hear my thoughts on this movie, and I will see you in the next one. Have a great one.